Flambeau. Good night, everyone, to all our viewers online and those of you who are here with us. It is a pleasure to be here once again to address serious issues of concern. Not only about the governance of the St Lucia Labour Party, but about where our country is heading and what St. Lucia has lost as a result of electing the St. Lucia Labour Party. It is 3 years of backward movement under this Labour Party administration. Tonight, I bring you special greetings, and I want to accompany it by apologizing to the New York caucus for not being able to be present at the advertised activity, and I know that they are following the live today. I tried desperately to get a ticket to try and make it yesterday for the event, last evening, and to get back here, and it just could not work. But as TP would know, every single event in New York I have supported over the years. From in December, when it was very cold, when the small group of about 12 to 15 people got together, and I drove down from Boston that night to be at that meeting in New York and to drive back the next day. And so I want the diaspora to know that you have the support of this executive of the United Workers' Party. And we appreciate the level of commitment we are seeing from New York to Canada to Texas to the UK to Miami, you name it. UWP has never been so active in the diaspora before. And we have to compliment you for what you are doing. Now, at the last elections, we asked you for 5, and we were giving you 5. Isn't that fair? We asked, our manifesto was 5 for 5. We are not like the Labour Party. The Labour Party promises you one thing in opposition, but when they get into government, you get nothing. You don't even get a 6 for a 9 from the Labour Party. You get a 0. So, we ask you, but you didn't believe us. We encourage you, but you chose to believe the lies. Everything Alan Chasney promised, he delivered. In our first manifesto, and I don't just tell you things you know. I have the documents to back up what I am saying. We increased the school transport subsidy. We wiped off the bills at Victoria Hospital and St. Jude Hospital to the tune of in excess of $14 million. We increased the school feeding program. You did not pay property tax on your private homes for 5 years under the United Workers' Party led by Alan Michael Chasney. And we reduced VAT by 2.5%. Now let me tell you something. When a man promises and he delivers, you ought to have the confidence that if he promises again, he will deliver. Now, in the 5 for 5, we promised you to introduce unemployment benefits. In other words, there would be an unemployment insurance, so that if you lost your job for a period of time, you would get part of your salary to cover you through the time until you get another job. That is what progressive parties do for their community, their country, and their people. Number 2, monthly assistance to the needy. And we started some of it during the COVID period, where a percentage of your water bill was paid, a percentage of your electricity bill was paid. Groceries were delivered to your homes. That is what Alan Chasney did. And we borrowed less money during COVID than Labour Party has borrowed during the time with no COVID. We would save parents money on school books. And can you imagine this period of September, August into September? Ek usavyo po mem festep pou baise muna a tiede. Un pou gume exeb pou sa pasan leshime. You have to, and if you don't believe what I say, right on the sidewalk there, before you get to the entrance of Rodney Bay into this area there, I saw people pushing grass on either side for them to walk through on a concrete sidewalk. The little battery place there, pass there, pitat yo kay coupe zeblo swebe deme komre disa. But you can pass there and you can see the state of Rodney Bay area. So see Rodney Bay later sa, kisa we expect ki forest here. You see what I'm telling you? We would have saved you money. You know what you would have had to pay? $250, and you would get an ebook with all the lessons. We would not give you a blank and empty computer. But you made a choice. The majority of St. Lucians made a choice. And unfortunately, the rest of us, we have to suffer the consequences. Now, it's not the majority of St. Lucians in terms of the population. It's the majority of people who went out and voted. Because Labour only got 50% of the votes and we got 42. And you've heard the political leader explain it. So parents this time around would have had to pay only $250, and their children would have every book they needed to go to school. And you know, we had introduced the MiFi system, where the parents who could not afford, we were giving them the device with the ability to get internet access right at their homes. I want people to understand, I'm not just here to criticize the shortcomings of the Labour Party and their incompetence. I am giving you a better alternative in the United Workers' Party and Alan Michael Chasney. Because some people think we can only criticize, but we have solutions. So number 3 was you would save money on books. Number 4, VAT would be further reduced by 2.5% to 10%. What has Labour Party done? Le nou bouche yo Eknudio kai hose vatla by 2.5%. Last minute they change it from the increase of the VAT by 2.5%, and they call it health and security levy. Liars. When a man can write a lie like this and present it in the parliament of St. Lucia, kisai paife. A prime minister who lies every time he opens his mouth. And you all say we can say it out there. Prime Minister, take me to court and let me prove to the people of St. Lucia where you have lied. Medical care for all. And I will elaborate on medical care later on when I come to the letter from the Medical and Dental Association. But I want St. Lucians to know, nobody on the Alan Chasney today would have needed a GoFundMe to have an operation or to go and visit a doctor. Nobody would have to have a barbecue and sell tickets. Or nobody would have be walking around with a sheet of paper to say, sponsor me. What a sad situation we face in this country. That the Labour Party has reduced decent citizens to beggars. To people who have to make a choice between feeding their children and going to the doctor. What a sad situation. And you know why it's painful for me? Because I get more requests for help today under the St. Lucia Labour Party than I got when I was a minister under the United Workers' Party. How can a government be so wicked? Ki manye moun ki di yo konta moun sa mauve kon han che yo. You know? But I'll come to that because health is something that is very, very serious. So, we ask you 5 for 5. You didn't give us nothing, you ain't getting nothing. Because Labour Party is who you gave it to, and Labour Party has nothing to offer. As much as we would have loved to do it, and we would have done it. But we are in opposition. We cannot do it in opposition. We can only do it in government. But despite that, we give more help to people than the Labour Party do today. And we will come to that. So, Labour Party a ka revele koyo abwisa. You pa realize that? The SLP is now revealing who they really are. But we already know. Essa pa vwe. Flamboha savsan set bluffers kila. A set mate. Now tansa. Ma vle yo di mwen kouye moun chien, so mwen pou be careful ki manye mwen di sa. But I made a statement at our last meeting. And it's a biblical statement describing a fool as a dog who goes back and eats its vomit. And you know a fool is foolish enough to say that he pa même di mahe, he di vale. Now, who sav la na difference between mahe and vale? The man did not even say he ate his vomit, you know. Now, let me tell you something. I don't want to upset you. I don't want to upset you. But I must say this. If you sick and you vomit is one thing. But when a man take his own finger, push it in his throat, just to vomit and to go back and eat the vomit, me say no problem. So if he didn't understand If he didn't understand what Proverbs said, I will send him to the next passage in the Bible. In 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 22. And it says, the dog returns to its own vomit, and a sow is a female pig. After you bathe it, will go back right into the mud. Now I want you to understand that. Debay, nou ka pala about la. Chien qui m'a vomi la, et cochon a probé la. Et pas just a cochon, it is a female adult pig. That is the description. Goes right back into the mud. Well, Richard Frederick, you put the cap so it fits you. Pas moi qui dit. Ou qui dit ou m'a vomi. Et ou agis by advance notice qui laisse vomi ou kay m'a encore. Now, don't be fooled by Richard's folly. He wants to distract your attention. But I want you to get the real essence of what has happened. The land price has gone up by more than 25% under the St. Lucia Labour Party. So for the 3 years that the project was delayed, you know what the result is? The price of the land has gone to $14.50. And we were talking about $9 and $10 a square foot. For that matter, Ezekiel wanted $6 a square foot for the land, for the people in the area. Now hear what I'm saying to you. The Labour Party, Philip J. Pierre and Richard Frederick, and don't ever misunderstand this. Richard does not make these decisions by himself. When you are a minister in the Prime Minister's office, the Prime Minister must sanction the decisions made by the minister. So, pakite Pierre vin mati ba ou ek fe ou kwe, se Richard qui fait ba li qui passable. Pierre pli mauvais passe Richard. There's more wickedness in the heart of this man than Richard Frederick. Because tell me something. How do you justify that the United Workers' Party was going to sell the land to the people between $9 and $11 a square foot, depending on where it was, and today you are selling the same land for $14.50 to the people? For that matter, I know there are people who went there, who had booked for land already, and when they called them, they told them the price was $16 a square foot. Now, the extra money that is to be paid should be paid by Richard Frederick and Philip J. Pierre. Now I want you to understand that based on the price that they propose, a 6,500 square feet lot will cost the St. Lucian more than $25,000 more than it was originally. Now think of having to go to the bank and get an additional $25,000. How much interest you will pay on that $25,000? Ça te ça fait whole fondation kay là-bas. But Richard Frederick, and you know what is shameful about us as a people? People were clapping. As if that is something so nice that Ambugma have for me. Exabel Telma. There's nothing more disgusting than this. But people who are supposed to be educated will clap and applaud foolishness. Monsieur Lausan Leba win your wine. You mean to tell me? And Flabos, I'm happy you're not like that. Sometimes we're not always happy how you all deal with us, you know. But I am telling you, never be like these people. When we are wrong, tell us we are wrong. Okay? You cannot tell me a politician can make people appear so stupid. A politician does nonsense. And then he comes back and he tells you he did nonsense and you praising him for doing nonsense. I mean, I listened to Richard. Now, do you know that that thing was not posted? If we did not get the video and circulate it, people would not know what he said. So the thing is only on the labor things, on the flambeau things were leaking. Ask them who that leaked the video. You see, I want you to understand. There are some fundamentals that we need to understand as a people. If we allow politicians to get away with nonsense, our country and our children and future generations will be the ones paying for it. And how can a Labour Party behave that kind of way and people applauding them? You know what I said? If a wife, no, maybe I should not say that. Ladies may be offended, so I need to be careful. We gave a fixed price contract to Fresh Start. It means that whether prices had doubled on the world market, they could not charge more for the project. That is the advantage of fixed price contract. So they were charging $9 a square foot for the development of the land. My understanding is they have negotiated with Labour Party and it is at $11 a square foot. So if Guy had done a bubble with Fresh Start, why is Labour paying Fresh Start more money than we were paying them? Now they will tell you prices increase. But si nou te fè bubble la te suppose ha cover pour increase price la. Espa. But you see, and I'm telling you, flabos, I'm speaking to the flabos now. Some of the flabos, the propaganda started with us. We were spreading more of the propaganda of Labour than Labour themselves. Now, ma pe comme moi, Martinez pour check moi. Martinez pour check moi. Moi ke expect Martinez pour check moi because moi vla ache kola yepi. So it pour check moi. But I want us to understand. Honesty stares us in the face, but we turn it down for con men. Because this Labour Party is a set of con men. All they do is fancy talk. Nothing to back it up. And so I want you to understand, every young person who will own a piece of land in Talvan today, the Labour Party has cost you in excess of $40,000 by the time you look at the price and the interest. On the UWP, you would have been $40,000 better with the same piece of land. You would have built your house 3 years ago. Prices would not have been as high as it is today. You're telling me that's people who are for the people? And let me tell you, they have some big business people in St. Lucia. They profit from these things. So they support labor. But we come into that. So I believe that the difference in price for the land should be paid by those who cause the price to go up, and not by the poor people of this country struggling to own a piece of St. Lucia. Now, I want you to know that when you look at the cost of construction, now you know these fellas think that they are smart. And that's what Richard is trying to play. So he knows what he wants to do at shock already. You know what my information says? They already have a developer sitting to buy 12 acres of the best land at shock. Did you hear me? One man, 12 acres. I want you to understand what is at play there. Under a united workers' party, the land would have been sold to as many St. Lucians as possible. Tout ba se bugsa involvant the Dania deal. Now listen to this. I heard Richard praising Peter Felicien, Mr. Uran Zipolit Bidge, this one. Are these not the same people that the United Workers' Party government was working with? So all the time they were bad on the flambeau, and all of a sudden they are good? You understand what is at play there? Lies and propaganda. So we come into that because there are so many things. Cost of living. What is going on now? Tell me what's in your interest. Tell me what is better in St. Lucia under the St. Lucia Labour Party since they came into government 3 years ago. Dis-moi ba qui pli maire en Saint Lucia Hodia. And those of you who are at your homes listening to me, tell me what is better in the supermarket. Tell me how much safer it is for me to leave my home and go where I want to roam. Tell me. Tell me which young person is better off in this country today. And I heard Richard attacking Spider's son. Spider's son is a young man and a young St. Lucian at that. But you see, when politicians do not know where to draw the line, Richard, we know how many pieces of land you came to own and how many is on your children's name. So don't try to go down that road with other people. Because Spider's son went through the legitimate process of doing what he was doing. Il pa fait rien batab. Si te fait un batab, hot l'argent le ba hot te kay bayan, hot sav say Spider. Now the other thing young people have to ask themselves, did they give him something just to set him up and to use it politically? You see how devious this Labour Party is? They draw no lines. They have no boundaries. And it is sad that young people have to be exposed to that type of politics from the St. Lucia Labour Party. And Philip J. Pierre and Richard Frederick, ou pa pren la han pochou pou bay Pierson. These are resources that are available for qualified young St. Lucians. And we need to ask ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, is it right? Richard is not the minister for youth. He is not the one handing out checks. How did he know who received the first check? So lana souse en gouvernement. And when we talk about the public servants qui ka fait souse, then you want to attack public servants. We don't want to attack you. We want to put you on notice that you have to have integrity in what you do. You know, Richard went to a meeting and called the names of the 2 officers at NHC who used to give him information. Ek ou sav sa yon temade a machine duty free layo to a gouvernement. That is what is going on in our country. But I can speak loud. I challenge any public servant in St. Lucia to come and say, Guy Joseph asked them to do this or do that for them on a side. That is where I'm better than y'all. The labor rights. That is where y'all cannot touch me. Because you know what? My integrity did not come from y'all. It didn't come from y'all. And there's nothing you can do to make me do what I did not do. Ou pas ça faire ça, ou pas bon Dieu. So I want us to understand that we in the United Workers' Party, when we do things for people, we don't go and broadcast it. And it is very unfortunate that this young, bright St. Lucian, who came up with a business plan, submitted it, would get his name called out. And the other hundreds of young St. Lucians, you not hear nothing about them. So, I needed to put this in so we understand. We must create better opportunities for our young people. I believe in St. Lucians. I believe in our ability to do things. And we demonstrated that when we were in government, every major project that was done under Alan Chasney and the United Workers' Party was done by St. Lucians. We say one thing and we live by it. Now, our passport does not say this is an SLP passport. This is an SLU, St. Lucia. The U is for you. This is our passport. SLU. That is our passport. And Hele and Galaxy cannot do what they want with our passport. Now, Martinez gave Labour Party a chance to come and join with him to find where the money is. Now, it appears to me that Labour Party don't want to find where the money is because they know where the money is already. By some lana minister ki pa have kola ye. Bo labitil bi se pa sava ye. Be mwende imati. Même mani imati ki di pate sav and hear about Chime Gozilea. Ek permanent secretary ki sign contract la. Ek ministry ki te ka supervise contract la. Yet still di pa avem. So lei do we pa have ko la infrastructure yo kwesa. The man's lies is the same size with him. Where me mani ay goa, mem ko se mati ay kadiago. You see, these men, but they're revealing themselves. And while I'm on that, Mr. Stevenson King, I want you to answer the post by Andrew that says you gave him about $600,000 for Andy Daniel. And after the elections, you all brought back 300,000 to the Taiwanese. Mwen vle wepon sa. Pa mwen ki post li a sou Facebook. Andrew ki post li a sou Facebook. So le hate ka pala about moun ki te ka hen la ha Taiwanese la. Labour Party samde sav la te na book te ka hen la ha Taiwanese. How did you get $600,000 from the Taiwanese to give Andy Daniel in Denry North? And how did you all get 300,000 to bring back to the Taiwanese? Yo ka depale apre sa? Yo just commencé depale? Ou sa? Now, ye pota pou du kopan sa. Well, Labour Party se book sa che. You know, Joachim did his thing. Up to a day like today, as God is my witness, I've never said a bad word about Joachim or his son in relation to the death of his son. Because I regard life as very precious. And I don't have enemies. I don't have people that I hate. And I can never wish bad for somebody. But pour monsieur dit c'est pas lui qui dans l'église là. On pattern ça me dit. Monsieur dit c'est pas lui qui vit dans l'église là. So si c'est pas lui, c'est bolom lui. Can you believe how much the Labour Party will lie about things? The man claims is not he. The recording that was there, he says, not he that in the recording, not he that speaking there. And they put a man like that in charge of ecclesiastical affairs in this country. And you don't want a blight to be on St. Lucia? And the churches see nothing wrong with that? I'm a churchman, and I see a lot wrong with that. When a state can put a man like this to be in charge of all religious denominations in a country, that country is cursed and blighted. When a man is corrupt, we ask him to resign for other things. Okay? So why this one is so acceptable? You know, I've told you all. Moi hatan mati, mais ma jamais tan mati kon. Moi vi ay gade te pla ki jou sa pou we, si moi te bal we. Now there are two other things I want to touch on. Mr. Reno Gajada. You said 200 years ago, they used to bring workers to St. Lucia. And St. Lucia was built by workers. Of course, St. Lucia was built by workers. It happened that both you, Reno, and myself, who are of Indian descent, that our great-grandparents came as indentured laborers from India to work in St. Lucia. This indentured labor thing was not much different from the slaves, you know. Go back and check the history. I've done my research on it. Some of these people did not come by choice. You know, India has its own unique rules that govern how people behave. And some of these people, they were conned into coming to St. Lucia thinking that there was so much. And some of them never went back. They stayed here. That is what you, Reno Gajada, calling for in St. Lucia again. With 180,000 people in St. Lucia, every other contractor can find workers. Reno, why you cannot find workers? Huh? Everybody looking for a job. I have a little something doing. A dozen fellas. Bossman, you have a little something to give me? Anything, I will do it. Reno pa ahen travail. Ipa ahen travail. Now, while I will choose not to say it, Reno, I want you to read the comments under your comment, your interview, and see what is the main reason why people don't want to work for you. And it is not because of the price you pay. And the rest of you can read the comments for yourself. Because it is important for us to understand. Now, my problem is not with Reno. Reno is a businessman. He's a businessman. And businessmen are there to make money. Here's my problem. Why is the government of Philip J. Pierre giving Reno every major contract and every small contract in this country to allow Reno to exploit and take advantage of the workers of St. Lucia? And you don't even have to tender for the jobs. Can you imagine they give him from the job to pressure wash the median barrier between the 4-lane road, to pressure wash in St. Jude, to the $300 million project on St. Jude? So, ukabay PT, ukabay go, ukabay sakamita ako. So, what is left for the rest of St. Lucia? We built the new St. Jude only with local workers, mostly from the south. Why Reno can't find workers? So, when the people who are building the OKU came here, who did the work? St. Lucians. You bring people, you say, from Honduras, from India, from El Salvador, from Colombia. So, sukahen mun from Tutla. Pukisaw papre tuasa mun ale kanawang. Ek kite se Saint Lucia lakayo, ek famio, ek madam yo, ek isyo, ek bayo tuafay la Saint Lucia. So, Reno, you think all of us are stupid? The workers you bring there, they already live in their home and they come into another country. So bring them to Kanawang and leave the St. Lucians to work here in St. Lucia. Why you want a man to leave his wife and his children? Akalteta guyavsa. Ekupo mem dio come la hayo katwavai pu. Ekabaki kondisyon yo katwavai. But you see, it's not Reno. It's the Labour Party. It's the Labour Party that is giving him everything that allows him to exploit the workforce. Because you don't have choice. Who else you going to? Who else have a contract? See your Bible. Glateni about sek bugak ti pressure wash yo. Kiteka pressure wash median barrier. Who sabi yo Byron no contract la pu pressure wash median barrier? She's job pu peti we re limpon yo ka Byron. Now let me tell you something. Ask any employee of the Ministry of Infrastructure. Reno is the Minister of Infrastructure in St. Lucia. And Reno, if what I say there is not so, challenge me on it to put out the information about what I know. Because I had the Marvin Doos. Reno ni please say a ministry, passe permanent secretary, passe chief engineer, so passe minister même. So to vesa dual se li ka hen tout contract. Now my final area that I must touch on, the health sector. And now, I saw a letter. And Skinny, give me maybe about 8 minutes to deal with that. Listen to me. We took pressure. We took pressure from the Medical and Dental Association when we were in government. We were managing crisis after crisis. We got hit by COVID. We had to open OKEU emergency. The same hospital that the Labour Party started by having a naming ceremony. Place a plaque on the building, put chains on the door and locked it and walk away for years. A completed hospital. We came in. St. Jude, the construction of St. Jude was a disaster. Health centers were a mess. And then COVID hit us. We had to move into OKEU overnight. And we had to convert Victoria Hospital into a respiratory hospital. And under the leadership of Honorable Alan Chasney, we opened OKEU. We converted the hospital. All of that using local people. VH became the respiratory hospital. And we were managing and we were building you a brand new state-of-the-art St. Jude Hospital. And yet still, they put pressure on us. And I need to say this. They said, don't bring Cayman Health City here. We were not bringing Cayman Health City to help take over the hospital. We were bringing Cayman Health City to help us in restructuring the operational part of the hospital. You know what happened? As soon as we lost the elections and Cayman Health City was leaving, Tapion engaged the same Cayman Health City people to help them restructure Tapion and put it as a modern medical facility. That is why I cannot support any other leader other than Alan Michael Chasney. St. Lucia would be flying high under the leadership of Alan Michael Chasney. Our healthcare system would be top-notch today. But sad to say, look at the situation. Now, pa mwen ki mache, od vle pote moun l'audience le di bay. Od vle mene Lisa l'audience, se po Lisa ki di ayen. Martinez ki di bay li. Mene Martinez l'audience. Not DBS. Le ou pa sav ki moun ki di bay, ou ka pote bay la l'audience, pou gade si yo kay di ki moun ki di. Martinez show his face. He tell you, is he that saying it? Is DBS and Lisa, you all want to take to court? He less apa ishape. U shape Range Rover, mesa apa ishape. Now, hear this. I write on behalf of the physician body of the Owen King European Union Hospital to express our utter dismay / disgust with the current state of affairs at the island's main hospital and by extension our healthcare system. Ou jamais entendu words qu'on can describe bon santé? You ever heard good health being described in this way? So it means we're not in good health in St. Lucia. When a doctor can pen words of dismay and disgust, no wonder you come here for me, yo. That's disgusting. Now listen to me, people. These are the doctors that our lives are in their hands, you know. These people not supposed to be working under unnecessary stress and pressure. Because one little out can cost us our lives. Now, Monsieur Moussa, ou te savent les flambottants pouvoir. And we were using hundreds of cylinders of oxygen. We had to set up a new oxygen plant in Vieux-Fort. Ou savent la paten oxygen ek ou di se moun nan ki ka mort c'est Alan Chasne qui responsable. Hodi la pan l'hôpital là. Ou savent moun ay l'hôpital ek yo te vle bra tablette, ite mou voye machine ay prend bouteille de l'eau bay pou y boire. People, these are not stories I'm telling you all day, you know. We are healthy, we are well. And some of us can afford to go to Tapio, and the majority of them in government avant zote yo ka fe yo mal. Se matnike be baba de be Miami. My mother died in the hospital. Within 10 minutes of arriving at the hospital, I carried her in my arms because there was not a wheelchair available to wheel her inside. So I've never made my mother's death an issue because I never wanted her death to be associated with politics. But a lot could have been different if our healthcare system was better. And I'm saying this, that I'm finally relieved. Not that the problem has been resolved, but that the people who matter are now speaking out and saying how bad it is. So team, the callers to your program, they have been right. For those of us who don't want to believe and we think it's politics people play, the doctors have verified that everything that has been said on the talk shows about the state of our healthcare is true. And we should ask the whole government to resign. Musa should be in jail for presiding over a healthcare system that a letter like this can be written about. The consensus of the physician body is that the board of directors ostensibly drafting policy to allow for the efficient running of the hospital has failed miserably in the said task. You received that letter, Mr. Prime Minister, and you have not fired the board with immediate effect. And you want me to believe that you care about us in St. Lucia? My people, This is a sad state of affairs. This is not something to rejoice over. It is painful. It is painful. There are a few other lines I must touch on. As stated above, the reality that we face here in our beloved island is that we have an aging population. One with a very high burden of chronic non-communicable disease. Violence, crime, and road accidents also affect our population and deplete healthcare resources significantly. Now understand that. We know that doctors, their job is to save lives. But can you imagine? The doctors are asking, how can we fulfill our mandate without basic resources? Here are the things they don't have. If you go for an EKG, the paper on which the thing is to be printed, not even the paper is available. You know, a glucometer you can buy at Walmart in the US for $10. There are no glucometers to take readings of the sugar of people with diabetes. And when our political leaders say we ought to be vexed, nous supposons fâcher about ce bail ça. Can you imagine the lack of EKG paper or not enough functioning EKG machines? And you know, when it's your heart, it's not easy, you know. How our physicians are expected to treat life-threatening illnesses without the basic drugs. Imagine doctors have to bring supplies from their home to the hospital to administer basic health care. And you telling me the whole of St. Lucia, not on the streets, marching against this inept and incompetent government? UWP have to come and beg us to go and march? Listen to this. It says we are truly at a loss as to why any right-thinking board would attempt to block the progress of the hospital and demotivate the already demoralized staff. Listen to me. Listen to me. A board. Now, I didn't have time to get the board members. But the United Workers' Party, on behalf of the people of St. Lucia, need to publish the names of every board member of the OKU. Lehot maladhot pa OKU. Lehot maladhot pa OKU. Staff members have anxiety at the thought of entering an emergency room which has dozens of patients who have already been admitted but cannot be sent to wards because there are no beds. Up to 40 people in the emergency section waiting for a bed. Now you can tell me what you want. Under the United Workers' Party, we don't give you problems without solutions. We had already arranged to build a ramp from OKEU to the wellness center because the upper part of the wellness center is not occupied. And we were going to put 40 beds in there for patients who are not in critical condition. If UWP had remained in office, that would have been completed. If UWP was in office, St. Jude Hospital would have been completed and would take off the burden from OKU. By your own report, you said that in 2 years, it would have finished. We knew it would finish in 6 months. It's 3 years, and St. Jude is no closer to finishing than when you entered into government. And here's what the letter says. You are all well aware of this. Now, laupa have a buy. Say your buy. But when you know, and you're not doing nothing about it, according to books are just vini ek this is your putue as much Saint Lucia as yourself. You remember under COVID? You remember over 400 died for the small time they were there? Now I will close. And here's what the doctors are saying. Many of us have worked and sacrificed tirelessly at VH and OKEU for close to or more than 20 years. And we can categorically say it has never been this bad. By pas jamais autant mauvais à dans l'hôpital. Mais ou hen la pour jump up carnival. Ou hen 15 million pour payer pour jazz. Ou hen 80 million pour dépasser à sous Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Ou passer 5 million pour agir situation. To save the life of the people of St. Lucia. Now, you know, time does not permit me, but by the next town hall meeting, I will show you what they said on their manifesto about health. 4 major consultants have already resigned. And every nurse who gets accepted overseas, they are leaving. What is happening to us in St. Lucia? How do you justify, and hear what the board is doing. How do you justify the money spent on expensive billboards all over the hospital, new vehicles, but the concurrent lack of drugs, including but not limited to Panadol and ibuprofen? So when the people were saying that la panier fenzik l'hôpital la, munte ka kwese manchons, mi se docteur a di yabweza. And you know what the Labour Party response to this is? You heard Richard Frederick, the mouthpiece of Philip J. Pierre. Says Flambeau, when you go to the hospital, you are not treated whether you Flambeau or Labour. All of us in the same boat. And doctors do not discriminate against people on the basis of their political affiliations. And Mr. Prime Minister, you owe the doctors and the Medical and Dental Association an apology for what you have said about trying to label this as Flambeau. La Virginia te malade, hot mene matnik vitma at the expense of the people of St. Lucia. And she went back and said how much she is worth. I care how many millions you make in the EU or wherever you are. Your life is not more important than the average St. Lucian. All of our lives matter. And that is why, under the United Workers' Party, you are going to get $75,000 health coverage every year. We cannot wait for 2 years. We need a change of government now. We need a man who can fix the problem. We need Alan Chasney and the United Workers' Party. I thank you.